I grew up in a small fishing town called Sestri Levante, two names, in the province of Genova. And it's a little town by the sea. At one time it was a fishing village. Now it has become a very sophisticated place. I'm one of 4 children, and 3 girls and 1 boy. But I also grew up with the extended family, not just the nuclear family, because everybody lived. The relatives live all in the in Sestri Levante. So everybody taught me how to cook. My mother, my grandmothers, my father, my grandfathers, both. And then I picked up from different family members, friends that share recipe, and listening to Le Comari describing what they made last night, and now they're going to use the leftover. That was a great thing to have, the ability to use the leftovers and create a new dish. Going shopping was easy, and we went to a small town with a minimum amount of botteghe, and we went to the same places, more or less. There were no supermarkets, so you knew everyone. But also we had the great fortune of going shopping into my grandmother's farm. So we had everything. I came to the United States in the 60s. I had been here before as an exchange student. This time I came back as a bride with a husband, and loved everything about the United States. Oh, definitely, I think that the secret of cooking is love and affection, and no matter how long it takes. I mean, sometime my son say, "Oh, Mom, you haven't made this in a long time," and they're asking me for like focaccia. I mean, it takes quite a long time, and I'll make focaccia for them, and then you look at their faces, you look and you hear, "Oh, Mom, thank you, this is so good." It's so satisfying. It's another form of love that you get back. So, and I like that interaction. So it's giving, but it's what you get that is so rewarding.
And we're cooking! I'm your host, Rossella Rago, and welcome to Cooking with Nonna. On this edition, I have the lovely Nonna Marisa here from Genova, and that's in the region of Liguria. And we're going to be doing something really special today. We're making rabbit. So I'm going to hand it over to Nonna Marisa, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what we need to start this.
Thank you for the introduction. Today we are going to cook Rabbit Ligurian Style. And we'll start out by
just some oil in the pan
put some
to
olive
get started.
Oil. Extra virgin olive oil is always a good idea.
And what do we add first, Nonna?
We add in 2 large cloves of garlic, entire cloves, and 4 or 5 bay leaves. That's a must.
Bay leaves are really a basic staple of Genovese cooking. I see them in everything.
Then we add the chopped pancetta.
Pancetta is this wonderful cured pork, and it's really the closest thing that Italians have to bacon. And we're just going to throw it in and saute it a little bit.
And of course, pancetta is salty, therefore we'll be very, very stingy with our salt because of the pancetta, the first item.
Oh, that's starting to smell wonderful already.
Okay, and now we can go to our vegetables.
We're actually starting to make a sofrito here. And a sofrito is usually a mixture of celery, carrots, and onions, but we're adding a little bit more to it. A classic Spanish sofrito is carrots, celery, and onions. But this is going to be a special Genovese sofrito.
Absolutely. And we're adding rosemary.
Some great rosemary here.
Quite necessary.
And garlic.
Okay, we add 4 cloves of garlic.
We're adding some sage.
Of course, one may use dry sage or rosemary, but the flavor will not be as enhanced as in the fresh product.
And some fresh parsley. And we are ready to start chopping.
Chopping, we need our special tool.
Our mezzaluna. And this is a special tool that Nonna Marisa actually brought with her today. You know, I love a nonna who brings her own tools. And this is a double mezzaluna. And it's really good for safety because your hands are completely out of the way, and you can just run it through everything.
And it traps the vegetables so you can retrieve it and keep on chopping.
If you don't have one, you can really just use a blender and hit pulse a couple times, or any kind of food processor will work just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be too fine, does it?
No. And I think at this point, maybe once you give it another tritata or two, you may put the mixture aside and we'll deal with the rabbit.
Here is the star of the show. And this is a rabbit that has been soaked in white wine overnight. And this has been soaking in a Chardonnay, but you can use any kind of table wine. It doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah. And we have added a few leaves of, few bay leaves, as you can see.
The famous Genovese bay leaves.
Yeah. And now we are going to pat dry it so that before we brown it, it won't splatter.
We're just removing some of the water.
Oh, it's a noisy rabbit, isn't it?
This wine is really wonderful for not only tenderizing the meat, but it's removing that gamey taste to it. So you get a nice meaty flavor. And one last piece.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, here we are. Now we can begin to turn the pieces that we first put in, and as you can see, they're nice and brown.
It's browning up very quickly.
Yeah. And also, what's happening here, the pancetta is seasoning the rabbit.
That looks like we're almost ready to add our sofrito.
We are ready. Actually, we are ready. So we may add the sofrito. And
I'm add it all at once.
And it'll take
very nicely.
A little bit of time, very short time.
How long should we cook our sofrito and rabbit till?
Once the sofrito is in, it's when the sofrito has reached a stage of translucency, and we know from the onions, it's done. Now the next step is the little red olives, Italian olives, that can easily be found. If you don't like the red ones because of the color scheme, you may pick the black ones. And also these olives are salty, so they will salt your dish even more. Therefore, forget about salt. And now it's time for the pinoli.
Pinoli. I love pinoli nuts. They give a really great crunch to everything, and they have a nice smoky flavor, and they're also a very big staple of Genovese cooking.
They certainly are. And at this point, I am going to put my spoon there, and I'm going to add some beef broth that we made ahead, and I use a ladle. And I'm going to use about 2 ladles full of beef broth.
You don't even have to use beef broth. You can use chicken broth or chicken stock or even vegetable broth.
Or even vegetable broth. We put the lid on and we let it simmer for about between 45 and 50 minutes because it already cooked for about 10 minutes. And the whole process doesn't take longer than 60 minutes.
But on Cooking with Nonna, we already have one prepared because it's TV land and it's magical.
Okay, so what we do is we're going to put this on hold and we give you the finish. And this is the dish, or rather the pot that we, with the rabbit that we cooked earlier for
This
you.
is our beautiful finished product.
And
look at that.
Yes.
Very hearty meal right there.
And how shiny everything is.
And I cannot wait to taste that. So we are going to go ahead and
You're
start
absolutely
assembling.
right. So we have pre-cooked something else for you. Today we have used arborio rice from northern Italy. So now we're going to scoop it up and we put it at the base of our presenting dish. We make sure we take the bay leaves. We don't want them to interfere with the fritting.
This is just plain white rice, but it's arborio rice, which is a special kind of Italian rice, and it's a little bit fluffier than your average rice.
It plumps up very nicely. Okay, so we have a base of rice, and
we are going to start.
We are going to mix this, and we're going to try to distribute it in a. Okay, we're going to clean.
So delicious, and the smell is wonderful. The sofrito really has come together so nicely. And the pancetta has become really crispy, but also really moist.
Yeah.
And we are ready to taste this.
Okay, now I'm going to put some of the precious sauce that I'll just put it on the rabbit because I think you need to separate the two tastes. The rice is simple and complimentary, and the rabbit is absolutely incredible.
You can garnish this really nicely.
Okay.
With just a couple of lemon slices.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that looks great.
And from our rosemary plant.
That looks very, very good.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I think we're going to
Thank you.
Take just a little bite, not too big because this just looks too pretty. And
I'm going to dig it into the pancetta, the sofrito, and as soon as you got some rabbit for me, I'll. This is so good.
The pancetta and the rabbit together really just complement each other. This is great with rice. I can imagine it being equally as good with pasta or polenta.
Polenta, yes.
Thank you for teaching me how to make this.
Well,
I can't
thank you
enough.
for allowing me to come on your show. Thank you.
Thank you for being my nonna. We'll see you next time. Ciao.